Hello and welcome. Here we have a brand new box of 1990 NFL Pro Set football cards. It is packed, or potentially packed, with some superstars, some really cool error cards, and maybe, just maybe, the very rare Vince Lombardi hologram insert. So let's take some time together and we'll go through a stack of packs, see what we get. We will talk values, we'll talk some players, and give you some insight, both into what the set looks like, and then a little more about some of the cards that may have collector value today, as well as some cards that are just really cool to see, and what we find along the way. Over here, we have our podium. The best card that we find will go on there until there is only one remaining at the end. That will be our champion of the day. And with that, let's open up the first pack and dive right in. So I'm very excited for these. Let's see what we get. Big ones are going to be the Fred Marion error card, obviously the Lombardi trophy, and then we got Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders, a lot of really cool players in here. So fingers crossed. Let's see what we've got. And to begin, we have Super Bowl 23, part of the Super Bowl insert series. Steve McMichael. And we'll kind of run through just the cards as we go, and we'll pause on those that have a little more collector value. Clay Matthews. Herschel Walker. Mark Clayton. We have Bud Carson. And Ken O'Brien. Nick Lowry. Max Montoya. Cornelius Bennett. Jim Moore of the Saints. Christian Okoye. Dan Henning. Rich Camarillo. And we have our scratch off where you can get a trip to the Pro Bowl or collect free points for stuff. All right, first pack through. Pretty quiet, nothing huge yet, but certainly optimistic of what may be in here. There is lots to go. All right, Super Bowl 11. Pasadena. Mike Singletary. Bob Golick. Greg Bell. Irv Pankey. John Stevens. Leslie O'Neal. It's a Pro Bowl card there. Johnny Hector. Ickey Woods. Reggie White. There we go. Jim Richter. Chris Dolman. 89 NFL sack leader. David Fulker. Vincey Glenn. Ernie Jones. And our scratcher. All right, we are 2 packs in, and it has been a quiet run. Let's see what comes next. Could be nothing. Well, we know it'll be some cool stuff, but or it could be something. Super Bowl number 1. That's a good start. First card, number 1. Keith Van Horn. Steve Smith of the Raiders. Mike Wilker. Ralph Mojizenko, Andre Tippett, Mike Dahl, JoJo Townsell, Lewis Billups, David Little, Sean Farrell, Rich Camarillo, 89 NFL punting leader, Dennis Smith, Billy Joel Tolliver, and Earl Farrell. All right. Another quiet one. I don't know. That's 3 in a row. That may be the longest quiet streak of any of these 1990 Pro Set packs. The podium remains ready to be claimed. And we start out with Super Bowl number 19. Neil Anderson, Tim Brown, Jackie Slater, John Taylor, John Elway. All right, we're getting a little something now. Very cool. Good to see John here. Mike Ditka of the Bears, Bruce Coslett of the Jets, Carl Zander, Keith Willis, Ozzie Newsome. All right, so what we're looking for here, there could be an error card, and that's going to be in his profile on the left, and if it says Little Rock, then we have the Ozzie Newsome error card, which could be worth in a PSA 10 of around $125. So let's take a look. Born, Little Rock, Arkansas. All right, we got it. This is the error card. Now let's check out on the other side how it looks and see if it's in good shape. Wow. That's unbelievably good. Corners are sharp, no white anywhere. This actually may be a possible 10 candidate. So what we'll do is we're going to very gently put it into a sleeve and keep it there. And then later on we'll check out the cards that may be grade worthy and consider sending them off if there's a chance at getting a good one. But either way, great card to come by. Welcome, Ozzie Newsome. You are also going to be our new podium holder as we move into Sterling Sharp. Ronnie Lott, Bert Grossman, and Jacob Green. Very cool. Had some quiet. Now we got a good one. Let's keep on rolling. Maybe we'll find a Fred Marion error card. Maybe we'll find a Bo Jackson in there. What would you want to see? But right now we are starting out. Something feels very wide. Maybe? Yeah. I don't know what it is. Actually, let me have this in front of you. What I'm doing is I'm feeling this way. Something feels wider than all the rest of the cards. So let me put it down here. The first card we have is the Super Bowl 13. And that's the Orange Bowl in Miami. Let me see. Is this the wide card? Yep. This feels like this is cut a little wider. Richard Dent, number 52. And this one could have some value of around $50. Aha. Fascinating. So check this out. That's the part of the next card. So this card was cut wider than the others. And so we have a little bit of two cards on here. So interesting. I don't know if, and it's not like it was cut offset, I don't believe, maybe to some degree, but it's definitely wider than the other cards around it. You could feel it. So is that a bonus? Is that a negative? Who knows? But since it has some potential value, we will sleeve it up and check it out later. But definitely a wide version of that card. So we'll be extra cautious of the corners here. Tuck them in very gently. And there we go. Perfect. All right, Richard Dent is in the game. I was hoping for a second that might have been like the hologram or something that, you don't really come across, which is why it's wider or feels thicker or something. But either way, pretty cool. We are on to Greg Towson. John Robinson. And in a way, I'm glad that wasn't the hologram, because I noticed when I was feeling the thickness, I had taken it a little off camera. And then I'm like, well, if that is the hologram, then it wouldn't be as clear as if everything was in camera view. So in a way, I'm glad it wasn't. If we do find a hologram, I hope it's in full view and we could see it unfold together. Felix Wright, number 76. Don Shula. Irv Eatman. Troy Benson. Tim McGee. Gary Anderson. Ron Morris. Otis Anderson. Running back. Comeback player of the year of 89. Dalton Hilliard. Muhammad Elawanibi. Card number 20. Outland Trophy winner of 89. And we got Barry Sanders. The number 1 Barry Sanders card. I'm already seeing something not great. If you look here in the top right corner, you can probably see some whitening right there. So we're going to give that this. But yeah, the corner looks a little smushed. We'll take a closer look, but the front of it, yep, this corner down here is a little smushed as well. So we're going to give it 2 things. One is the condition. But then 2, it's a Barry Sanders. So always great to pull that. Rookie of the year. We'll put this in a sleeve. It's probably not going to have much value, but I feel like you got to sleeve a Barry Sanders, even if someone wants to collect it to their set for $1 or so. Keep it looking as good as possible. It's Barry. All right, we're going to leave Ozzie up there because he's in great shape. And let's get the next pack going. So now we're getting some steam. We're getting some names. We're getting some good chances. Let's see what comes up next. Here's Super Bowl 21, Giants and Broncos. Jim Covert. Mervin Fernandez. Jim Everett. Eric Williams. Sammy Smith. And all right, Steve Wisniewski. So this one is special because of, obviously, Steve the player, and then he is blocking for none other than Bo Jackson. So this card, in a 10, could be worth around $300. So we will sleeve this up, although I'm seeing a white spot right there. And if that's paper dust, cool. I may try to wipe it off with a microfiber cloth at a later time. But if that's part of the ink, then our potential 10 goes down to a maybe worth $1 to someone who wants it. It is a fickle way this works. However, pretty cool. Let's give him the horn. Welcome, Steve. And we're moving on to Pat Leahy. We got Jason Buck, Carnell Lake, Dino Hackett, Dalton Hilliard. This is the number 12 card, the NFL scoring leader in touchdowns for 1989. Chris Carter, Dan Marino, quarterback of the Dolphins. Great card. Jerry Glanville, head coach, and our scratcher. Next pack up, we have 3 left. We're already cruising through. And let's see what comes out. Could be something, could be nothing. First up is Super Bowl 17. And these are kind of fun, even to make a subset of them. Dan Reeves, 94. Bruce Wilkerson. Jerry Gray. David Grayson. Irvin Randall. Bo Jackson. There we go. One of the biggest names in this set, in the game. Welcome, Bo. Let's check out a couple things. This could be amazing, and even if it's not as amazing as it could be, it's still cool. It's Bo Jackson. So obviously these cards are very condition dependent, and so right here, I'm already looking. You could see some whitening on the edges, especially with the black borders in the 90s cards. Very tough. So let's turn it over, see what the front looks like. Wow. That is a real nice front. That's like almost flawless. Corners, color. So I don't know if that coloring on the bottom will be all that much of a negative since it's on the back, and the front is beautiful. So this actually could be something awesome. So we're going to very gently put him into a sleeve and check him out later. This one might be worth sending into grade if it does grade a 10, which is very, very hard. And especially with that whitening on the back, it may come out a 9. But as a 10, it's valued at around $1,000. And I think the 9 is worth maybe, 18 or 20 bucks or something. So worth less than the actual cost to grade it. So it's a fine line, but the front of that card looks beautiful. Literally flawless. So we're going to keep him on our podium for sure. Welcome, Bo Jackson. Great to see you. Great card. And we are moving on to Ricky Jackson, card number 214. And Sam Weish, head coach. Greg Lloyd. Don Griffin. Warren Moon. Dean Basucci. Sam Mills. Vi Sekahima. And that is our pack. 2 more to go. Let's open it up. I am curious what can come next because the bow is pretty good. Maybe a Fred Marion. That would be very, very cool. They only come every now and then, but a collectible card just for its uniqueness. We're starting out Super Bowl number 6. Bud Carson. Willie Gault. Henry Ellard. Alvin Walton. We got Bruce Hill. Lorenzo White. Frank Warren. Ricky Dixon. Bubba Brister. Ron Holmes, Felix Wright, Jim Jeffcoat, and Steve Atwater, Chris Miller, and there's our scratcher. And that brings us to the last one. Let's see what could be inside. And I always wonder if the different stacks have different odds as to, what is in them versus an entire box, or how those numbers work out. But let's see what we've got here. Another wide card. So it's an orange one. It looks like it's below it. Let's see what's going on with that. But first up, we have Super Bowl number 4. Below that, we have Eric Metcalf. And again, if we look here, part of the card next to it is cut. So we got another one of those wide ones. I'm going to, I'll just keep it aside. I don't think it's anything that wild. Steve Burloin, 149. Larry Kelm. Guy McIntyre. Vinny Testaverde. Ernest Givens. Pat Swilling. Eric Thomas. Tom Worley. Stanley Morgan. Ted Hendricks. This one could have some value. Hall of Fame selection, around $30 or so in a PSA 9. And I don't know if there are any 10s out there, so it could be at that or a little above, but this one is in beautiful shape. So we will tuck this in. And that's one of the kind of the gambles, if you will, with a box, is that some of the cards in a box will be in great shape, some won't. And it could vary by box. Maybe an entire box has cards that are generally in good shape. Other boxes, they're a little rougher. And then some will be mixed. So I think so far we're looking pretty good in terms of what this box has. All right, Deion Sanders. This one's worth around $50 in a PSA 10, and it looks immaculate. Great colors, great corners, no whitening really anywhere. Although this corner on the back, little wrinkled up there in the back corner. But we'll still put them aside and see what it is. But very cool to see Deion as the last card in the last pack in the stack. So that will bring us to our roundup of players. We have our Bo Jackson that is unbelievably smooth in the front. We have our Deion. We have our Ted Hendricks, Hall of Famer. And we've got, let's see, our Ozzie Newsome error card. We have Barry Sanders. We have our Richard Dent. And let's see if we could slide everybody over. We have our Steve Wisniewski blocking for none other than Bo Jackson. So there you go. A look into a stack of packs. Hope you learned something. Hope you had some fun. There you have it. Until next time.